Hey guys, welcome back to another Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. I apologize, it's been a few weeks since we've had another one. A little busy with the kids, the store, Comic-Con, everything else has been kind of crazy. So of course, we're brought to you by Zapp Comics. We're powered by Audio Boom. You can find us on iTunes as well. It's early in the morning. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning on Batman Day. Today is Batman Day at the shop. Actually, at every shop, I should say. And I got a couple buddies here with me today. I got my sidekick, David.
Batman wouldn't be awake this early.
No, he'd just be coming in right now.
I know. This is dumb. We should have done this really late or very, very early.
So we got my boy David, and we got a special guest, Nick Justus is here.
Hi, heroes.
How are
It's Miss Stanley first thing in the morning. When I wake up and stretch.
What's up, Nick? How you
say
doing?
Hi, heroes, to wake myself up.
How are you?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
You know, Dave described you as a cowboy when you speak.
That's right.
Is that because he has a southern accent, or just because how he speaks?
It's because he talks like a cowboy. It's perfect.
I can't hear it myself when I speak, but I know when I listen to this,
You'll hear the cowboy.
like, oh, wow.
All right, cool.
Preview. It's a treat.
We got a bonus today for Batman Day. Nick will be here all day from open to close, sketching Batman characters on sketch covers or your face or wherever you want him to sketch it.
Ooh.
Have you ever sketched on somebody's face before?
I've sketched on arms
Okay.
with Sharpies, and if you do that, I was listening to a podcast last night with some tattoo artists, and if you do that and go to a tattoo parlor, they can actually...
Did they get that tattoo, the one you sketched?
No,
Oh.
but people have.
Did you ask them why it was on their arm if they're just going to wash it off?
Yeah. Do it for a lot of kids, too. Like
Oh, that kids are different.
Like, instead of face painting, they'll be like, "Oh, give me some henna tattoos." Henna?
Yeah. Henna.
Henna. Henna
Like
tattoos.
Henta gets us into trouble. That's a whole different kind of comic.
So when you sketch and you do face paintings and characters, is Batman the most requested one?
If people want caricatures of themselves as a comic character, most of the time, the guy. If it's a couple or if it's a man, yeah, they want to be Batman, or done a few Superman characters, Wolverine. But
Did you judge the Superman people?
yeah,
You're just like, you had a choice between Batman and you picked Superman. You messed up. And then their girlfriend leaves them.
they always make sure, to make sure to add the spit curl.
Oh,
Even
so
if they don't have one, they want a spit curl. So
I don't think Superman's had a spit curl since like 1960, right?
No, he had a mullet for a very long time. He died and
came back
Had
with a
a mullet.
mullet.
Okay. Cool. So Batman Day is cool. You get some free books. It's I think like Scott Snyder's in Baltimore Comic-Con, Jim Lee's at a store out in California. It's really neat because last year they did this in July, and it kind of caught people by surprise how busy it was because we had like masks. I don't know why they didn't do masks this year.
they were fun.
They were fun, and you could buy the capes, which was cool.
I remember last year.
I wasn't here. It was actually on my anniversary. I was in Hershey Park with my family. So.
But you texted us. You're like, "How was the shop?" And then Rusty and I sent back a picture of us just dressed as Batman, giving him like the finger.
Yeah, in typical fashion.
In typical Batman fashion.
Was that the day
We were
they had
just
the different masks?
Yeah.
like
Those
the
look
Frank
pretty
Miller
cool.
mask.
I don't know
and
why they
then
didn't do it this year.
66 mask.
Yeah, it was cool. They should have done it this
Okay.
year. But you get a free Endgame one shot, which has the preview for the Batman Robin Eternal book, which is coming out later this year, which is a weekly series, which is kind of cool.
And if you have a rubber band, you can just slap that on your face. Yeah. So it's all.
So Nick, when you
relative.
how many sketches have you done in a day? Have you done like a marathon of sketching once, like just head sketches for people, like a convention or at like a store?
Definitely like free comic book days.
Yeah.
Where it's just a marathon session from beginning to end. Like I imagine it might be today.
Now, did you
Probably
when
Sit
you
there
went,
for 8+ hours. You're gonna one after the other knocking them out. So.
when you were at the Kubert school, do you do things like this where they put you in a store or a public place to see how you did? Like no,
it was all about self-promotion and getting yourself out there. They really encourage the homework aspect, like get your homework done, whatever you can get done on the side, more power to you. But no, they didn't stress things like that.
Did you come up? That's just Dave not turning his phone off. Did you come up here specifically? Yeah, you were from Virginia, right?
Specifically came to Jersey.
Okay.
For the school.
Which is Dover, I believe.
Dover.
Right?
Yep.
So what part of Virginia are you from?
Farmville.
Oh, really? Farmville? Okay.
Isn't that like
Central
an iPhone
Virginia.
game? Yeah, like Facebook.
So when I tell people Farmville, it's the Farmville area. It's an actual town. It's called Dillwyn, which is even funnier. Dillwyn is next to Farmville, so I just say Farmville because Farmville is larger.
Yeah, okay.
Farmville has a Walmart. So.
Okay. Listen, Walmart's down south are like the best stores on earth. So they're like everything. They have everything.
Everything. It's like a mall, but
yeah,
with a grocery store.
Well, I'm from a small town called East Bridgewater, Massachusetts. I always say Brockton because most people have heard of Brockton.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what you mean because East Bridgewater is a little farming town.
Yeah.
So
I'm from Wayne, New Jersey, home of Zapp Comics.
From Wayne.
From Wayne,
Is
yeah.
it? That's cool.
Born and raised in
the only from Wayne. Both of his jobs are in Wayne. So he still lives in Wayne. So
something about done.
His entire life was one road. He's all
I'm
one
going
road.
to Alaska. Anywhere.
But do you have a favorite Batman character?
Favorite Batman character? Besides Batman?
Good choice.
Obviously Batman.
Good choice. Me too.
I can't say that I do. I'm a big Joker fan.
I'm not
Batman and Joker.
Joker's okay. I prefer Riddler over Joker.
I don't always like what they do with him in the comics.
I like classic Joker.
More old school, definitely. I'll dabble in new stuff, but I'm old school. Somewhere between Cesar Romero and Jack Nicholson in like the 70s Joker.
Was that a Power Joker?
Yeah.
I like a Power Joker.
Yeah.
Wait, what about you, Dave? Do you have a favorite Batman character?
It's all about Commissioner Gordon. Not on that Gotham show. It's very boring, but...
I think you make a good Commissioner Gordon, like in a live action
Thank you.
series or something. I can see you pulling that off.
Thank you. I still want to be Jimmy Olsen and
you
Batman
do that
and
too.
Superman. Jeepers.
You gotta shave first.
Whatever. What are they on?
You see Jimmy Olsen died? The original actor who
Oh,
played
yeah.
Jimmy Olsen died?
Really?
From that old show?
The only thing that would work
But he wasn't
is...
redhead, though.
Really?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Dirty brown.
Yeah.
Ugh. Just like you. Old dirty brown. Well, that's okay. So I already got a step ahead of him in two ways. In that I am a ginger and I'm alive.
Oh, man.
But may he rest in peace. That sucks.
Yeah, no, he was older, so. You know, like Yogi Berra just died, but he was 90, so it's like
yeah.
at least he had a good life. He died peacefully. It's,
He was a good dude.
Yeah, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Found his museum in Montclair by accident one day.
Yeah.
Just driving around for the day job, and hey, there's Montclair State University. There's Yogi Berra's museum, I guess it was. Didn't get to go in, but I know where things are.
Nice, congratulations. You seem to find a hero, okay, you know?
Yeah.
So you go back to the school. What brought you to want to go? Now, are there any other prestigious art schools? I know I hear Kubert mostly because we're local, but like aside from like for comic book stuff, is there any other schools that are good for comic art?
As far as I'm aware of, it's the only accredited school for cartooning and comic art, and it's just one of those things. When I grew up as a kid in the 80s and looking at the old school ads in the comics, always came across those ads, usually drawn by Joe, and I was like, I want to go there one day. Get into high school, think about your options after high school instead of going to Kubert school, because by then it was New Jersey, that's so far away. And I'd completely given up that idea or hope or aspiration. Went to fine art school for a couple of years. And then worked in prison forever. Like 7 years plus in prison, so...
Spent 7 years in prison.
Yeah.
Well, you were a correctional officer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that for 7 years plus.
Did you have to beat anybody down?
Saw it happen. Didn't participate in a lot of the action. If things did happen, saw the aftermath. Usually that's when you see, things.
Yeah, were you still drawing at the time?
Yes.
Now, did you ever worry about hurting your arm or your hand where you couldn't draw it from somebody getting a scuffle or something like that, and something happened to you?
Yeah, in the back of my mind, but you have to do the job.
Oh no, you have to work. I understand.
Yeah.
Now, you were a correctional officer down there or up here?
Down there, Virginia.
Okay.
And then I'd say the last 2 or 3 years that I worked in that prison, we would have like 2 days off here, 3 days off there, and I would make my own comics. Okay. With my own characters, and that's when I put a portfolio together of some of that work and sent it to school. And you have to submit a portfolio for portfolio review to be accepted to the school. Didn't think I would get in, but I did. And I continued to work for an extra year at the prison, saving up money for housing and everything. And in 2008, made the move, the jump to Jersey. Been here ever since.
You still have the accent, which I
I'll
love.
never lose that. I had a buddy from Jersey that moved to Virginia. He and his family, in the late 80s. They moved to Virginia about 89. And I came to Jersey for the first time in 92 with him for a couple of weeks. We stayed, I think it was South Amboy. And that was my first trip to Jersey. It was the summer of 92. Saw Batman Returns premiere night.
Nice.
That's my big memory of the summer of 92. Was coming to Jersey with him and seeing Batman Returns.
You were still in high school, right?
Let's see. Yeah, 13 years old.
Oh, 13, okay.
Yep. 13. Batman memories.
No, you know what is funny is I when I was younger, I loved drawing comics. I would draw the Turtles, anything Eastman style or Laird. I loved Frank Miller Daredevil. I would copy it. I loved it. I was so excited when I got into high school. I'm like, I'm going to take an art class. And the teacher I had was so nasty, I never wanted to draw ever again the rest of my life. Because you know what it was? She was just so rude and, like, really into herself. And, like, she made us, she'd give us an egg and say, okay, you have to draw this egg for 4 weeks. The first week you have to draw it from this angle. The second week this angle. So I was so, because obviously she wanted you to get the shadowing and the depth. And she was so, like, mean when you did it wrong. It just turned me off completely.
So you're not, like, friends with her on Facebook?
No, I don't know if she's even alive. She was an old lady.
So she doesn't listen to the podcast?
I doubt it. And if she does, I'm going to tell her there's a reason why I don't like art anymore is because of her. But I didn't have talent. I just really enjoyed doing it. But I used to, I used to the same thing. I used to make my own comic books. Mm-hmm. I used to recreate the covers and like draw like a cool Kirby FF and add my own stuff. And I loved doing it. I was,
So you don't do it at all now for
yourself?
No,
I couldn't draw if you paid me.
Really?
My daughter makes me draw all the Teen Titans all the time.
Okay.
And aside from their head, it's awful.
Huh.
But
like you.
Yeah. So if we need art in the store, Dave does all that for us. If we need a mock-up, like our new website, Dave takes care of that.
I got a C in Art 1 my senior year of high school.
I don't know if she passed me. I did think because the final project we could do whatever we wanted, and I did some really cool pyramids. I think she gave me a passing grade just for sticking it through, and then I said I'm out of here.
I found a stencil, a Halloween like kid stencil in the art class. So I put the ghost in every one of my projects.
Okay.
To the point where I would get like a D because it would be like draw the hallway, and I would have the ghost coming around the corner. She'd be like, "There's no ghost in that hallway," and I'm like, "You don't know that."
You can't see him.
That's a recurring theme, though.
It was a recurring theme.
Modern art, almost like performance art.
Pretty much, yeah.
She didn't realize that.
Take that, Banksy.
And look what he's doing now. He's is at Zapp Comics, ringing people up on the register. It's great.
Look at me now, art teacher.
And do you remember when your first piece of work was ever published, whether it was a comic book or an ad or something like that?
Oh, wow. Elementary school newspaper, and like high school yearbooks, drawing covers for our annual yearbooks, which were thin little floppy things, and a couple little cartoon strips, I think, in the self-published little magazine newspapers that we would put out in school. And when I was working at the prison, there was a county newspaper. I drew a monthly comic strip for that I completely forgot about.
Now, who read those? The prisoners or the workers?
No, that was for the entire county population.
Oh, okay.
Like a freebie newspaper you'd pick up at the convenience store or the grocery store. So that was like, it was called You Don't Know Nothing About No Country. And it was based on
Farmville, USA.
And the main character was named Darren, based on my uncle, who I love, and he's been very supportive, and always he'll give you the shirt off his back. Gave me help ever since I've been here in Jersey. If I've ever needed it, help moving, and throw a little green my way if I need it. If I need some grocery money, and really good guy. So Darren. Uncle Darren. This goes out to Uncle Darren.
We love you, Uncle Darren. I don't know you, but I like that guy.
Me too. I want a collection. When are those comics coming out in trade?
I'm going to have to do that. They're going to. If I had remembered, I would have put them in Mantasy. So Volume 2 of Mantasy, I'll put I must have done 12 to 24, at least 2 years worth of strips, which I could fill up a bunch of pages with. But looking at them, they're, art-wise, and I'd draw it over again.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was.
But the jokes were funny and silly. And,
you wrote them too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just all about redneck country humor and life down there and his antics.
Nice. Did your uncle enjoy them?
Yeah, a couple of them they framed.
Okay.
There's one in particular I remember doing for Mother's Day, where he's on the telephone talking with my grandmother. So it's like a phone call between them, and they actually thought that was cute, and they have that framed hanging up in her house, I believe.
Nice. See, we never did any. Well, especially I never did any art, but we were on the cover of our own Spider-Man comic, so that was kind of cool. Dave's got the jetpack because we did an homage to #1, which has Human Torch there, and we wanted to keep it like interesting to that. So we added Dave. When we did the mock-up for Luke Ross to do the cover, he put Adam Strange there because he had a jetpack, and then he just put Dave. But Dave looks like a lumberjack in the picture, which is cool because you're a superhero.
I look great.
He made me
That's actually
a little bit chubbier than I was at the time, but it's okay.
We were supposed to be the Thing.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the Thing, and Don, Ben, and Patrick are on there, so it was cool seeing that. But I mean, I'm never gonna draw anything for anybody, but it was pretty neat.
We ruined it for everyone. That's what I love too, because we wanted to do it again, and then Marvel was just like, no, after you guys did it, everyone's asking, we're not doing it anymore.
No, I didn't say that.
Really?
No, we wanted to do the Star Wars one, but they said Disney won't let anybody do any customizers like that with Star Wars.
So Disney's the villain.
What if they just made you all stormtroopers and put little name badges on?
I don't. You know what it was? It was
my first day.
Star Wars was very different. It was very it's more sensitive, and it was a little bit more strict. So it's kind of like we're doing the Dark Knight 3 one. Terry Dotson's going to do a cover for us, and we wanted to put certain characters on there. They said you can't unless that character is in the book. So okay. So we haven't even seen it yet. It should be out. I'm hoping like this week or next week.
What if we read through the book and we're in the book, and we were like, we could have had Terry Dotson draw us. They're like, yeah, I just saw the cover of that Spider-Man thing, and I really like these guys, so pulled them in.
Now, as you're doing sketches at a convention or whatever, have you ever got a request or something that you felt uncomfortable doing or you didn't want to do?
I'm sure I have.
Like a naked person or like something.
It's been a while.
Because Corey has an idea for.
No, I'm being serious because it puts you in a tough spot because you don't want to be like I don't do that. I'm not saying anything that you like. You don't believe in, but I'm just saying like something you're like, dude, really?
I believe in everything.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to. Like I'm not gonna draw that, type of thing.
Oh wow. No, I can't say that I have, or if I have, I don't remember. Usually, it's characters you may not be excited about drawing. Like a kid might want a certain character.
Like MODOK, maybe MODOK.
No, MODOK's fun. Anything like that where it's a big head.
Or in Dave's case, Man-Thing.
Oh, I'd love to draw a Man-Thing. I drew Dave a creature,
and it's.
I know it came out really good.
Yeah, I like that. I jumped up the following morning, Sunday morning, last Sunday, and I was like, I want to draw that, so knocked that out. So it's always, usually if people want sketches or something, it's something fun that I want to do. I can't remember the last time I got something weird. It may have been a school assignment, which has been a few years ago, where you really have no interest in the assignment and doing it, but it's part of the job.
No, I know. I've heard stories where people ask for certain things that they're into or a fetish or something like that. Yeah. They want that character to do, and they're like, I don't want to do that. So I'm just wondering if you ever...
the main thing recently that I remember would be character work, drawing the couples that I've been doing for the past year or more at the resorts in the Poconos on the weekends. Drawing couples in certain themes that I don't enjoy. Not that I disagree with drawing them, but it's just boring. Oh, we're sitting on the couch and I'm rubbing her feet, or we're in a boat together and fishing, and I'm like, that's why I encourage couples, like, don't you like superheroes or zombies or anything? So I've gotten to do cool ones like couples as zombie fighters, like Walking Dead themes. And are we still up?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this thing.
No, I just had an idea. That's what that noise is.
It sounded like an idea.
Yeah. I was just like, couples and zombies. My screenplay.
Yeah, no. So it's one of those. Like, I'd feel so uncomfortable if somebody said, "Hey, you know," I get like that at the store sometimes. Somebody's like, "Oh, my favorite book is this," and I'm just like, and I don't like the book or the character, and I just kind of like, I always say, listen, it sells really well.
Yeah.
I know people enjoy it, and I'm not going to say I can't stand it.
Well, that's the thing. I imagine as a retailer, you sell the product. Why would you ever, in front of a customer, even if you didn't like something, why would you talk trash about it?
Yeah, but the thing is, sometimes they ask you specifically, like what you think of it, and I just say, I go, I haven't had a chance to read it, or
Not my.
you know what it is? A lot of times too, I'm a big superhero guy, so if it's a lot of the independent stuff, I just nicely say, I'm a superhero guy. I don't know. I say, listen, everybody else at the shop reads it, or listen, we sell like 5 of them a week, and it sells really well. You know, I'm not going to say there's certain things I cannot stand, but you sell them. You know, you have to. You know, that's just one of the things you do.
Like the stack of MODOK you have on the shelf.
Yeah, that's why there's a stack there, because nobody buys it, except for Johnny Knoll.
Crossed.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Crossed. It's just not my thing. You know, even though Joe Watt loves it to death, literally and figuratively, but
And worse than death.
yeah, it's just not my thing. But it's not that bad. You know, it's just you don't like it. I don't like it. You know, I don't like Deadpool. You know, there's nothing wrong with him. I just don't like him. I love Aquaman.
like
Everybody
you
hates
either.
Aquaman, but I don't care.
But ultimately, that's what I like about comics, period. So many choices on the shelf.
Yeah, of course.
One thing isn't your cup of tea, something else is. You have superheroes, you have noir, you have... What else do we have?
There's murder mysteries.
That's
there's
murder
anything,
mysteries.
You know, there's,
That's two.
That's the only thing going today.
there's just movies and TV shows, Buffy,
Yeah.
Fight Club, like all that. You know, Sandman, Preacher. You know, all this. Comics. It's so diverse and it's so mainstream now too. Because I mean, less people are reading books, but they all know about them mostly because of the movies, obviously. So the print runs are low on the books, but the property as a whole has never been bigger. You know, who would have thought that like Groot and like Rocket Raccoon would be household names? And now there's rumblings that Lockjaw might be like the new Rocket or Groot.
So what's
Probably Groot because he doesn't talk.
What's the first appearance of Lockjaw?
Was
Inhumans?
Fantastic Four 45, which is the first Inhumans.
Okay.
That's the first Lockjaw, I believe, because he was in the Inhumans. Maybe he wasn't. Actually, I don't know if that was it because I don't know if he was in the very beginning of the Inhumans. I don't remember.
He's hilarious though. Just like a dog with a little tuning fork on his head.
Yeah.
Shoots little lasers.
So that I'm an FF guy. I like the FF. I know everybody bashes on them, but well, that's the other thing too. Everybody's complaining now, like, oh, the movies are changing things. They're taking Fantastic Four out because of the movie. No, they're not. They take Fantastic Four out because Fantastic Four has not sold since the John Byrne era. Okay, every time they try to reboot it, they put phenomenal people on it, and it does not sell. FF is a very tough sell. FF falls in that same category as Superman. It's iconic. Everybody knows what it is, but nobody buys it. And Fantastic Four, again, they're one of my favorite things on this planet. Their book does not sell.
And the Hickman run was like, oh my god, phenomenal.
Yeah, but nobody bought it. They don't
crazy.
buy it.
Nobody bought it though, and it's just
because
like
it's
critically
Fantastic
acclaimed.
Four. They just don't like it, and which is fine. I mean, I love the old stuff, so it's okay. Like just stay with the Kirby or the Byrne stuff. But people like, oh, they're ruining it because of the movie. No, they get FF because it's a dead property. It's not. Spider-Man has replaced Fantastic Four, and Batman has replaced Superman. Even though FF1 and Action Comics 1 are probably more important for the history of comics, right now in this day and age, Batman is the cooler kid. But Superman, he just never adapted, and you can't adapt him. He's the way he's built. It isn't.
He's the first one.
And if you make him darker, that 98% of the people who don't even read it, like, that's not Superman. It's wrong.
That's what we have Batman for.
Yeah, so they don't understand, like, characters evolve. Same thing with Fantastic Four. You know, they're a family. There's a Brady Bunch. You can't make the Brady Bunch dark because it doesn't work.
No, you
I don't know about that.
You know?
I like that. Let's
When
make
has
that
been
book.
done? Yes.
What?
I almost cussed, but I didn't.
Oh, he can
Almost
bleep
said,
it out.
But I didn't.
Jeepers.
I caught myself.
Willikers.
And you said cuss, which I like, because we don't say
Curse. What do you say? Curse.
We just say the word here.
This
is New Jersey.
Swear, I don't know what we say. We say whatever. What do you call? I get made fun. See, I don't have the accent I used to have, but every now and then, a word will bring it back out. Like, you still have your accent. I don't. A lot of people don't know where I'm from. Cause I talk a lot like my dad, who's from Canada.
Yeah.
And I have my.
I thought you were Canadian because I was like, man, that guy sounds like Todd McFarlane.
I don't like I say about in like mom and house, but what do you call in your house underneath like where you would store stuff? What's that?
Cabinet.
No, your house is built on something. What is the bottom?
Show me a cabinet.
Basement. See, we say cellar where I'm from. We say put it in the cellar.
There could be a cellar inside of a basement.
Yeah, but we just call it cellar.
There could be a fruit cellar, but that would be like a separate room in your.
We just call it cellar. So when I go home, my mom's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Where's Dad?" He's like, "Oh, he's in the cellar." And my wife's like, "Where?" I'm like, "In the basement."
That sounds creepy.
What do you?
He's in the cellar.
What do you call?
That's a Goosebumps.
What do you call
Dad's
that?
in the cellar.
What do you call that thing that you put like? What do you do? Where do you put this? Where is it going?
In the trash.
The
trash is the trash.
We say rubbish. Put it in the rubbish.
You're just making this up.
I swear to you.
No, I don't.
I go up to my parents.
A fruit cellar is A&P next door.
I went up to my parents' house this weekend to see my family, and I took my daughter. And my mother says, "Isabella, put that in the rubbish." And she goes, "What'd you say?" And I'm like, "Honey, in the garbage or the trash," because we say rubbish. And when you eat at night, what is that meal called?
Here's a biggie. We would call lunch dinner.
Okay.
So, and dinner, your later meal, we call supper.
See, we call it supper too. My wife goes, "That's not supper, it's dinner. Stop saying this. You live in the 2015."
Well, that's the thing. You're just like a Puritan. Still, just came over on the boat.
Hey, when I was younger, we didn't call soda. We called it tonic. My grandparents always called it tonic, so we just called it tonic because of like the tonic water.
That's the first I've ever heard.
We always call it tonic.
Pop, soda,
We didn't
cola.
say pop. Pop was
I never heard it called tonic.
Yeah.
Huh.
Call it whiskey enhancer.
Tonic just makes me want to drink now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we have.
Maybe it's just you.
No, it's it's just how we talk. We say wicked in front of everything.
That's
like, that's wicked cool. It's wicked pissa. It's a wicked good time. I say Saga, Volume 4. But I don't talk like that. It just comes out sometimes.
Saga, Volume 4. I'm Corey Brown.
And I say Red Sox, S-A-U or S-A-W-X.
Are you a sports fan at all?
That's all I live. It goes my wife and kids, sports, and then comics.
Okay.
If I wasn't doing this, I would love to do something in sports, whether it's being active in them or doing something.
So you do have your own little sports section in the store, like as far as cards and.
Listen, the card market's really bad right now, but with this whole case used to be all sports cards, and the McFarlane sports picks were more, but the market's changing.
The Marvel Select wall, that whole wall
was all sports picks
really?
for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the wall I passed.
Yeah.
This is like trash. Let's see what kind of.
No, I'm a sports nut. I love sports. Sports are any type of sport.
So is it tough living in Jersey being a Bo Sox fan?
Not really, because I lived in New York.
I didn't even know if you were a Red Sox fan. I just assumed.
Yeah, I lived in New York for 10 years during the early 2000s when it was Yankees Red Sox big time. I was at the 2003 Game 7 where Aaron Boone hit the home run. I was there, but I was at went to the 04 World Series. I saw Game 1 of the World Series, so it wasn't tough because they won obviously in 04 and then 07 and then 13, but the people I was around were fun, so it was a fun type of thing. I mean, I went to some games. People would like throw pretzels at you or like say stuff, but it was
free food. It
wasn't anything like bad, but I'm sure it was tough. I don't Jersey. It's like I don't hear it much here because they're successful now. I'm sure if I came back here in like the late 80s, early 90s, would have been a different story.
I went to the Green Monster.
Yeah.
And I was a kid. And I had a salad tray full of salad dressing dumped on my head as a 12-year-old kid by a Boston Red Sox fan.
And you turn and look, and it's Corey.
Yeah.
It was me.
No, but like people would walk up to me in the street as a kid and just curse at me.
Oh no!
We were denied service at a restaurant. Like, Boston's bad.
Listen,
man.
When I went,
I was a child.
When I went to one of my first Yankee games, you had to walk across that tunnel.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in there, and these guys are in your face. They're screaming at you, and I'm just like, I just see the laugh. I just look forward because I don't let them say anything, and they pour beer on you, the stuff they say to you. It's like I don't take it personally, but at the same time, like they're literally in your face. So I mean, I think it might have helped because a lot of my friends were Yankee fans, so it was like a mixture.
Yeah.
I mean, you get it. I mean, I've heard horror stories everywhere. I've been to Fenway Park with friends of mine that are Yankee fans, and they didn't say anything to them. So it depends on where you're sitting and your circumstances. But to be a 12-year-old kid that happened, that's just ridiculous. I don't understand what's wrong with people. Yeah. I don't care what you are. You should never do it to anybody, but a kid. Come on, a kid is like, we know whatever. Who cares? But people are weird.
Right?
There's a lot of dirty, scummy people out there, man.
I think we should just even out the playing field. We should start that here.
What?
Where someone wears in like a Superman shirt or something. I'm just like, I have a Batman shirt on. This is Batman Day. I'm just gonna throw pretzels at them.
You know what? I'm getting sick of.
Pour beer on them.
I'm getting sick of, and I think I was like this when I was younger. Is people who come in with you see somebody on the street with like a Star Wars shirt, and who's your favorite character? And they're like, I like Luke. And you say like a semi-important character, like I don't know who that is, and they're like, you're not a real fan. I hate when people, like, say you discover something, and the next day you're like, I like it, and a real fan's like, you're not a real fan because you know nothing. Mm-hmm. It's like, you obviously have to start somewhere, and there's also casual fans. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're a Batman fan, I'm like, when's his first appearance? And they're like, I don't know, Batman #1. You're like, wrong! I'm like, you can't do that to somebody because they don't need to know the entire history of the character. They can just enjoy the character for what it is. I'm sure when I was younger, I was that person that was like, they're not real fans because they don't know who this is. Cause I see it in the store, too. Somebody just gets... like the new generation that are in their late teens, early 20s came in with New 52 or Marvel Now, and then you say something from like, I don't know, hey, have you read Killing Joke? And they're like, no. And you look at him like, you're gonna kill them. I'm like, the kid's 18 years old. He's probably been in the comics for a year. How has he read Killing Joke? I mean, you have to give them time. Or you know what? Instead of being a jerk about it, be nice about it and kind of show them, listen, if you really like this, check this out because I think it's better.
One thing leads to another. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like the people who they're like, well, you got to read the original stuff. I mean, if you have to read every single Fantastic Four comic so you can get to the Hickman thing, you will probably just kill yourself.
You know what it is, too? It's like, it's so frustrating because they don't understand, like, I was like this, too. I'm a big, in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, I loved Seinfeld, loved it. And, like, nobody watched it, and all of a sudden it got big, and I was like, oh, no, now it's ruined because all the people come in.
I can't like it anymore because everybody else does.
Nine Inch Nails, I love Nine Inch Nails. That was, like, my band. I want everybody to listen to it, and then they got big, and I'm like, no, I don't want you guys in my group, But it's one of those things, you want it to be popular, but when it does, you don't want the people in there.
Yeah, Corey's the original hipster.
So I used to get mad at that stuff. Now you just enjoy it for what it is. I mean, there's so many people watch Walking Dead, they don't read the book. It's fine. You don't need to read the book. You don't have to. If you want to, go ahead.
It's just a whole nother layer of it.
What did you grow up on? Like, what did you emulate? What artists did you want to be like or be when you were?
First artist that I admired was my cousin, Randy.
Randy.
Good old Randy.
Love me some Randy.
We like holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas holiday, whenever we'd have like little family reunions and have big meals in the South where it's like potluck. Everybody brings food, and I knew he could draw, and he had the original Mego like DC characters and some of the Marvel characters, and I just thought that was so cool. And he went to art school, and he didn't pursue it beyond that. He never tried to have a career. He's actually a chaplain now and stuff.
You still close to him?
Pretty close. I still idolize him. Like he still likes comics, and he would draw for me at these little family gatherings, and I would always ask him to draw Batman and Robin for me, and he would always do it, and I just looked up to him. A few years ago, I was like, hey man, draw me a Batman, and it was a little rough to see because when you're a kid and you see somebody do something like that for you, it blows
awesome.
your mind.
Yeah.
And he was so rusty, he hadn't drawn, and he's like, I don't know, Nick, I haven't drawn in 20 years. I'm like, I don't care, I want your Batman now. No matter your ability, do it for me now. So he did, and I framed that just because I didn't have any of the original drawings from when I was a kid.
Yeah, because they were probably well loved, and
That's awesome.
And then I remember going into like pharmacies and grocery stores and picking up my first comics I actually selected off of the rack were like detective comics in the early 80s, drawn by Gene Colan. And then later on in the 80s, when the Batman movie first hit.
Oh yeah.
Tim Burton's Batman. I got into Norm Brayfogle.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many issues of Detective and Batman, and then like some Shadow of the Bat. For a good few years there, it was Brayfogle, and it's really sad because he had a stroke like last year. He's recovering.
I know.
And a lot of people, I bring up Brayfogle, and they're like, "Ooh, it's sad that like in less than 20 years' time, people can forget or not consider your
There's
work."
a lot of names from that era that, unless it's like a McFarlane or Liefeld, Jim Lee, Neil Adams type of thing. If you say some of these guys and they did everything, they're like who? Like the team that did the Death of Superman, like Jurgens, stuff like that. People don't know who they are. I'm like, how do you don't know who these guys are? But they just don't. It's just one of those.
There's also another Batman artist I really liked who passed away in his early 50s, and he died in the early 80s, but he did a lot of Batman work. Don Newton. Everybody check out Don Newton.
Newton's great.
I could, if you gave me a piece of paper and I could sit here and think about it, I would.
Who's your favorite artist of all time?
Favorite artist of all time.
You can only pick one.
That's really tough. Of all time,
Michelangelo. Hands down.
Comic artist of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say Joe Kubert.
Okay.
I
like his Hawkman. I always loved his Hawkman.
I like a lot of other guys that are way up there, like Bernie Wrightson. One of my favorites. Frazetta.
Frazetta, he had a stroke, and he learned how to draw with his left hand, and he still drew. I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
I heard his son was crazy too, but that's a different story.
I would just be like, brushing my teeth is hard. I give up.
There's so many.
Bernie Wrightson's one of those guys that, like, it bothers me that more people don't know who he is.
He also had stroke last year.
I know.
Before. All these older comic artists that like influenced me that I really look up to, and I've always collected their work. It's tough seeing them starting to have, ailments and health issues, and you're like, they're not that old.
I like artists. They are. I like artists now that I overlooked as a kid. Because when I was a kid, I was so gung ho into the bright, flashy artists, and I overlooked a lot of books. So now I really appreciate seeing like Tomb of Dracula, Master of Kung Fu, stuff like that. It's not superhero because I overlooked it. Not that I didn't like it, I just kind of overlooked it. Well, like even like the Man-Thing stuff. That stuff's beautiful. But when I was a kid, I didn't want that. I wanted like Avengers, I wanted Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man. So I never looked at this stuff. Now, and we don't get in it as often as superhero stuff. So now when you get a really fresh, beautiful copy of like Tomb of Dracula number 11, you're like, wow, this is gorgeous. Yeah. Colin and Palmer and like
TP.
Yeah, Tom Palmer. So when you look at something, I like Klug.
Oh yeah, Mike Klug, man. He's another
Ernie
artist
Chan.
I got into within the last couple of years. And Ernie Chan, and
he just died
I'm
too.
Always discovering. Just when I think okay, I'm not gonna find any other artists that I like. I do. I usually. Recently, the past couple of years, it's older artists though, from the 70s, 80s, but. That's what I think is really cool. It's a writer's market now.
Yeah, it's very different now.
And
it's changed a lot.
I like that. I just can't remember the writers' names as well as I can the artists. I haven't grown up being a follower of artists.
Well, that's what you did back. I mean, aside from like obviously like John Byrne or like Claremont or whatever, you knew the artist. That's what drew you to the book, and that's why all the artists like had all the pull. Now, but the market's actually stronger now because back then. Most of the people were just collecting.
Yep.
Now they're all reading.
Yep.
Everybody wants the new Fraction book, the new Hickman book, the new Jason Aaron book, Cullen Bunn, whoever is writing, that's what they're going after. I mean, some of the names still have pull, like if Adam Hughes does a cover, or Jim Lee does a cover, or whatever. Ivan Rice, still
Ross.
Ross. It still comes in, but back when 20, 30 years ago, it was all artists.
Right.
Now it's all writers. So like if you look at the top 10 most powerful people, it was the artists. And now it's the writers, which is I love because people are reading them. But see, it's funny that I say I love that, but I was one of those guys. I didn't read that much. I just love the characters. I love the look of the book. I love the history of the comic book. So I'd rather read about the book and the history of the character than actually read the book. I did some reading, but I wasn't like, I read all the issues of this, and I still am not. I mean, I'll read stuff here and there, but I just love the fact that these things exist and the fact that people love and they live through it. And like everything it's a piece of art. They're all the covers are art. I mean, some are beautiful and some are awful. I don't know how they get published, but at the same time,
Corry.
No, I mean, I look at some of the stuff.
Detective Comics one right up there. Hell lazy.
Oh, the blank sketch cover?
Yeah, he did that.
Well, hopefully Nick will be sketching
It's
all
a
those
field
later
of
today.
snow.
You know, so I mean, like, look at Jock. Jock Batman is... I drool over
Look
that.
at my jock.
Yeah, look at your Jock. Yeah?
Francavilla.
Yeah, Francavilla. So.
Oh, yeah. That's another guy recently. I got into a lot of artists in school that I never liked before, like Francavilla. Mike Mignola was a big one. I couldn't stand his work. It's something about it. And then boom.
Well, see,
Something went off
Mignola
my
is one of
head.
those guys when I was collecting in the late 80s, early 90s, he was doing a lot of superhero stuff, and I hated it because it was like dark and blocky, and I'm like, I don't like this.
Dark
and
and
then
blocky.
and then you see Hellboy, and you're like, this is awesome because it fits the book.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm coming in the other way, where I was seeing the BPRD and the Hellboy, and then just being like, wait a second, this is his Wolverine. Like, seeing that style, or this is his Batman. Like, that was cool.
Like Sam Keith.
Going the other way around.
Sam Keith, a similar guy. His stuff was very abstract and weird looking, but when he did like Wolverine and Ghost Rider, it was awesome. But when he did like a regular character, I was like, nah, it's too much.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on the book. You know.
Bill Sienkiewicz. I mean, like, certain stuff, you're like, that is very much of the times, but the Demon Bear in New Mutants, those, oh man, those are some of my favorite issues, the art in that.
Say his last name again.
I know, because I probably did it wrong.
I'm going to give you the correct pronunciation of it now.
Okay.
Do you know it?
I'm not going to butcher it, so I'm not going to try.
It was one of those things in school. It was like nobody knew how to pronounce it.
Because if you don't hear it, how are you going to know how it's pronounced?
So like one day I think it was Adam Kubert in class. He was like, it's Sienkiewicz. Sienkiewicz.
Okay.
Like a kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Sienkiewicz. I'm like, okay. And I still looked at it. It was like Sienkiewicz to me.
He needs to get new letters in there to make it accurate.
But he's a cool artist too. To watch sketch like at a convention, getting to see some of these guys and the things they do. Like he'll use different tools and do different. He'll draw with a Sharpie and smudge it with his finger. I might do some of that today. Just blow people's minds. He just smudged that Sharpie. How did you what? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
See this shadow on Batman's chin or cheeks? Yeah.
It's Justus. Just us.
Yeah. I am Justus. I am the Knight.
Speaking of
I am
which,
Batman.
when you were here a few weeks ago for your Mantasy signing, one of our customers came up to you and said, "What did he say to you?"
Oh, it was my highlight of the day.
Does he count as a customer?
Yeah, he's here enough.
It was pretty funny, and like every day you do a sketching or a signing somewhere, you're guaranteed to have one thing stand out that just makes you laugh, and that was it. The kid came by, I was sitting here at the table, and he's like, "Who are you?" "I'm Nick Justus." "Never heard of you." And I said something smart like, neither have I. I've never heard of myself either, so don't worry about it.
Oh, but, I love it so much. You know what it is? I've been in situations where you see people, whether it's a signing, and everybody's like, get something signed. You're like, oh my God, who is that? And you're like, you're excited to get something signed by the guy, but you don't know who he is. You just see that it's actually happening. And it makes me laugh because people do that. They just run up and... I always thought, like, we should do that. You should go to the mall with a bunch of people and have you, like, come around you and, like, taking pictures of you and have them signing and see how many, like, just regular bystanders are going to come up and do the same thing. Because I was at the mall once in Boston, and at the time, Oil Can Boyd, he was a very controversial pitcher for the Red Sox. I was in a mall, and it was a car dealership, and they were having a signing, and somebody had said to me, it's Oil Can Boyd. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know he was here, so I got in line. And when I got up there, it was actually Reggie Lewis, one of my favorite basketball players, who ended up dying like the year after he just collapsed on the court. But it was just weird because I got in line thinking it was because somebody had told me it was Oil Can Boyd. And I got in line, I was all excited. I was like, I don't know, I was 10, 11 years old. But it ended up being someone even better. But it's just funny how like you would think, like, I want to do that. We should do that, Dave. Just have people line up and just hit signing stuff and see how many people get in line. Because nobody's going to ask you who they are. If you go up there to have them sign something, you're not going to say, who are you? You're going to say, can you sign this?
Yeah.
Which is going to be funny.
Let's do it.
We should
do
have
a whole signing.
Yeah.
I'll do it today with the remaining copies of Mantasy.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
What are you? I don't know. I forgot who I was. Oh.
It's like when I was at Comic-Con, I'm like, oh, hey, it's Robert Kirkman. And then, like, everyone's just like, they turn their head. It's like blood in the water. And he's just like, no one knew who I was.
Yeah.
He's just a big teddy bear.
I could kick myself. I had the first 6 issues of Walking Dead, got them off the shelf when they came out, met Kirkman at a con way before the show, several years before the show, I guess. He signed them for me, and I don't know what I did with them. I can't find them. I think I sold them to a comic store in Virginia, but they're gone. I was like,
Nice job, Nick.
I know.
How are the stores down there? Are they good?
Different. Very different. You'll have stores this size with this amount of material, comics, toys, collectibles, and you'll have some stores that are more geared towards gaming.
I've been like branching out different places, like just checking out comic shops. It's gaming or comics. Like people, they have like more space to like big tables with trees on them. We don't have any trees here.
Yeah, we used to do gaming back in the day, but we're not set up correctly for it, and we're not like, none of us here are into gaming.
Right.
And we have a store that's pretty close. We're very friendly with that. Does the gaming anyway, so we send people down there, and they send people here for comics. So it actually works out good. But like a lot of stores don't carry the toys like they do now. It's just like new stuff, a lot of trades, the new books, and then like gaming cards. They don't the back issues. They don't delve into, and they also like toys. People are like, oh my god, look at all these toys, and I'm like, is this how it's supposed to be? Like, no, nobody else has toys like this. So when you're around it all day, you don't notice it.
And for me, like being old school gangster that I am, this is what attracted me to Zapp. One of the first things that caught my eye is like they have an extensive back issue.
Well, we pride ourselves on that.
So for old farts like me that come in,
well, that's what I do.
I'll spend hours like, okay, I gotta go. These guys are going to get sick of me. Like, I'll come back tomorrow and do it again for another 2-3 hours.
But you also have the job where you can do that, though. You're not like stuck in the office
There's some flexibility,
all day. So you're driving around.
I'm on the road, and like if I wrap up day job stuff and I'm in the area, why not swing by and unwind?
Plus your future wife works very close to here too. So
and Wayne as well. So going back to baseball for a second. You guys ever watch Drunk History?
Yes.
I watched an episode of Drunk History on Comedy Central last night.
Okay.
And it was about sports. The episode was about sports, and the narrators of each episode have a drink, and then they talk about the history. And this episode was about sports, and one segment was about Jim Abbott. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
The one-handed pitcher.
Yeah. He pitched a
I
no-hitter.
thought that was cool. Yep. Because you were talking about baseball. We've been dabbling in baseball.
I think a guy that worked at a railroad track taught him how to because he would throw the ball and then put the glove on his arm.
Yep.
The guy taught him how to do that.
Throw
Because he didn't know,
his left hand and
But Jim Abbott, he pitched a no-hitter for the Yankees.
Yep.
It was a big deal. He was awesome. He was on Boy Meets World, too. He had an episode of Boy Meets World, Jim Abbott.
Nice.
Did you not know that?
I did not know that. I'm sorry, I'm rusty on my Boy Meets World stuff. Corey.
Do you keep up with the new show? The spinoff of that?
I tried to watch it. Me and my wife were going to watch it, and it was very like, okay, I have to be a kid to watch it, so I immediately shut it off.
What's it called?
Girl Meets World.
Girl Meets World.
It's about his daughter.
About their daughter. Okay.
I was excited, and watching it every time him and Topanga would be on the screen. I'm like, this is cool, but they focus on her, which is what they're supposed to do. And I was like, yeah, I can't watch this. I felt like I was in the wrong room. So I'm like, maybe when if my kid was like 11, I'd watch it with her. But I'm like, me and my wife can't just sit here and watch this, so I'm not watching it. So we did watch. Did you see Life in Pieces?
No.
Did you watch that, Dave?
What? Life in Pizzas?
Life in Pieces.
I would watch Life in Pizzas.
It's got Tom Hanks' kid in it. I think Colin Hanks.
Little Hanks.
But it's cool because it's like a family, and it shows the kids. It's like it's all very dysfunctional, and every kid's different. I think it's Colin Hanks. His character, he's probably like your age, Nick, and they're newly married, and they had a kid. And they literally, when you're gonna find out when you have a kid, when you go to the hospital, they literally go, okay, here's your kid, and they're like the next day, like bye, and then you just go, like you don't have any
training manual.
Yeah, that's it. And so when they're leaving the hospital, the wife's like, oh my god, I didn't hold a baby until yesterday for the first time. Now I have one. Like it's very stressful. But the doctor says to them, listen, whatever you can't have sex for like 8 weeks. And he's like, what? Like he's like, I didn't sign up for this. And then the doctor says to the wife, whatever you do not look down there. Do not look down there. Do not look down there. She's like, okay, I won't. He's like, do not look. So they get home, and probably a day or two later, and he's in the other room building the bassinet or the playpen, whatever. Dave, you're gonna appreciate this. She screams. So he runs into the room, and he's like, what's going on? The baby's bundled in the bassinet sleeping. So he's like, what happened? And there comes the wife out of the bathroom with the mirror. He goes, what's the matter? She goes, I looked down there. And he's like, why would you do that? She told you not to look at that. He's like, yeah, but it's like giving me a present and say, no, open it. I had to open it, right? So she's like, I just want you to know we'll never have sex again, ever. And he goes, okay, I guess she's worth it. And you can see his face, so he's hugging her. And he goes, how bad was it? And you know what she says? You remember the scene from Predator when the Predator unmasked himself? And he's like, oh. And I was dying laughing so hard because she said it, not him. And my wife was laughing, but she didn't understand what I was laughing at. So I sent her a gif of the Predator opening his mouth. And I was dying. Then later on, there's another scene where she's in the kitchen, and they gave him surgical gloves, and they say fill it with water so it becomes like ice. And if there's like pain down there, you insert it. So she's yelling at him to put it in there, right? And he's like, I'm not doing this. I don't want to do this. And she's like, just do it. I can't do it. Just do it. He goes, I don't want to look at the Predator's face. So the fact that they keep referring to it as a Predator's face, and it's because that's how she described it, is priceless. So if you get a chance to watch it, Dave, I know you're a huge Predator fan, watch it. And I'll never look at Unmasked Predator again the same way.
Yeah, you just get way too
Just for kicks, in the middle of the day, I'll text my wife a picture of an Unmasked Predator, and she's like, what is wrong with you?
This is the most visceral episode of your podcast ever.
Yeah.
After that.
Corey Brown, you son of a bitch.
It's Batman Day, everybody.
Zapp Comics have you pushing too many pencils?
But listen, the comic industry, it's fun right now because there's a lot of events going on. You know, because you got Comic Cons. There's this one.
Yeah.
You know, there's a big one in San Diego. Mm-hmm. The New York one's just as big now.
If I weren't here today, I'd be in Baltimore.
There's Baltimore, okay, which is going on this weekend. We're actually down there. The other owner, Ben, is down there with our trusty companion, Ruben.
Oh, yeah.
At the Zapp booth in Baltimore. Himself. And then you have, like, the Chicago one. But you got Free Comic Day in May. They're doing local comic shop day now, which is on the same day as Small Business Saturday. So that's kind of cool. They're going to have exclusive you can get. We have our annual sale in November, which is huge. So like they're really going out of their way to make sure that there's a lot of events going on in the comic industry, and it's actually working.
Yeah.
Because last year they just threw Batman Day together for like kicks because it's the 75th birthday, and they're like, oh, let's do it again.
And why not? It raises awareness.
Listen, anytime you can get a kid in here that wants to get a book,
yeah,
I love it. I mean, I love selling stuff, but I love when a kid comes in here and he picks up like random issues of like Hulk or something like that. Cause I'm like, yes, because we might, every 1 out of 10 we might get one to stay, and they do tend to leave, but they come back after high school usually, like when they get college, you know, in the college years, and like, I know you did the same thing, Dave, when you came back.
I came back, yeah, high school.
I noticed a lot of the kids that were buying Pokemon are now starting to dabble into comics, whether it's usually like Deadpool or Batman, but they're sticking around because you see it. How do you not see it? I mean, it's right in your face. And like that Deadpool movie is gonna, I think, change a lot of things because like Walking Dead got so many people in here who blew through Walking Dead, and they pick up, they go, give me something similar to it, and you're like, oh, Why the Last Man or Sandman or Preacher, and next thing you know, they're picking up Killing Joke and Hush, and you're like, uh-oh, they came in because they wouldn't normally have come in for that. So with Image being around too, it's a lot easier to get somebody to buy a comic.
$10 trade.
You know, not just $10 trade, but the subject matter. It's not always superhero. It's easy. Oh, you check out Outcast. Mm-hmm. Oh, what else does he write? Oh, he writes Invincible. Next thing you know, they're reading a superhero book.
Southern Bastards.
When's that come out on FX? It comes out pretty soon, right?
Oh,
it's gonna be pretty brutal.
I'm so far behind.
They're making a show of that. That totally went like over my head. I don't think I've heard about that. I've heard about the Preacher show.
Yeah, no, AMC Southern Bastards is going to be on FX.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Is football big by you, like high school football?
High school football,
you're not South enough?
Yeah, but
I know, like Texas, it's huge, but
Virginia, it's NFL. A lot of college football, like UVA or Virginia Tech, the Hokies.
What professional team do you guys root for down there?
It all depends. Like, it's a lot of Redskins fans because of Washington. I guess there's probably some Orioles fans now too.
Orioles?
Not Orioles, Ravens.
Right, okay.
Because if you're a baseball fan and you're a fan of the Orioles or the Nationals, then you'll typically, I guess, follow the Redskins or the Ravens. But there's a large saturation of Cowboys fans.
You were too young when the Colts left, right? You were too young for that? When the Colts left Baltimore?
Yeah, that was before my time. It's always been Indianapolis as far as I can remember.
I think it was the early 80s when they moved.
Yeah.
Nice. So, yeah, comics in general are just, it's fun. And like, do you get nervous when you're doing a sketching, or are you just having fun? Like, you know, like when you go to a store and there's like a lot of people waiting for you to sketch because you don't know what they're going to ask you for. You ever get like nervous?
I get nervous about my facial expressions, like, oh, I don't want to draw this. Make sure you don't give off that face.
Keep it inside.
Straight face. No.
Now, how about this when you're actually, this is a more important question, and I get this anytime Dave's talking to me, believe me. Is somebody there that's, you're sketching, obviously it's more than just a signature, and they're talking to you, and you're like, oh my god, I need to finish this because I want this person to leave. Does that happen? Whether it's an overzealous fanboy or just somebody really annoying, or they might smell.
That's a good point. It's really...
bad breath. a stupid face like Dave.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Corey, I'm going to destroy you later.
Can we get it here? I'll be at the shop.
Yeah.
We'll be up front, and it's like a certain customer comes in, and it's like one of us disappears in the back, and somebody's usually stuck up front, and you're like, oh my god, I just want them to leave, and you can't.
Like Dave will leave on purpose and go in the back because.
Yes. Or I'll
wait, and then for the door to
beep, and then
they'll come back out. Okay.
We have a big list of.
I'm very particular to smells.
Because you're also a bartender, so you actually have to BS with these people, and sometimes, like, they don't know when to stop. You know what I mean? They just keep talking to you.
You're a bartender. Who's a bartender?
We are here. We're bartenders.
Oh, I see
you know
what you're saying. I thought, like, you're a bartender.
No, like we're figuratively we're bartenders.
We're best comic shop ever.
So, like, you know what I mean? So you have to listen to their worries. Or, like,
right.
You get people that come in, you're like, hey, what's up? And they go, no, what's up? They go, well, let me tell you this. My wife, it's like, I don't mean that. When
There's
you say
a balance.
Hi, it's just, you're just saying hi. It's a nice way to say hi.
Balance.
But we talk with people. I like talking with
I
people.
know, I love talking to people too, but I'm asking Nick here. Did you ever get in a situation where somebody's talking to you and you're like, oh my god, I just want them to not talk to me anymore?
There's some eccentric people that you don't know why. I guess they're into you as much as they are. I guess they just like watching. And I don't have a problem with people watching me draw. It's part of the process. If you're going to sit there and do it, they want to see.
But do they ever say, "Oh, that's wrong," or "I want this," or like, do they ever like over your shoulder?
Only in caricature work.
Okay, because they want something specific.
They're a little vain to begin with, wanting like I want myself as this, and myself, me.
Yeah, to go back to the customer thing, I'm not 98% of our customers I love. I'm just saying, you get some in here, you're like, you see them coming in the door, you're like, oh no, because they're gonna just talk your ear off, or like, they smell really bad, sweating, dripping.
Yeah.
Come in, grab one business card.
There's a few times in the dead of winter where we'll open the doors of the store and leave them open for a little while.
Yeah, cool.
And it's freezing in here. It's because of the stench.
Oh, okay.
Of certain people.
In the winter? You would think that'd be in the summer.
No, because they got layers and layers of clothes.
You don't have gaming.
What I'm saying though is that that they smell so bad. I have to open up the doors even in the winter.
Oh wow.
That's what I'm saying.
I expect somebody might bring me some bottled water today. You'll have people like that.
Remember that guy? Yeah. That lady? Bottled water? Buffy Combs?
Oh yeah. She's like, you have water in my trunk.
98% of the people are great. I just hate when you're in this position where, because you're working, like you can't leave. Like I can kind of like maybe the phone will ring, or I can just kind of like, oh, I'll help you and leave. But you're stuck behind a table, drawing something for them. So you got to finish.
Yeah.
If anyone messes with you, call me.
I mean, that's why today it's like 5-minute head
Plus,
sketches.
they're free head sketches. Yeah, it's not like somebody's paying for it.
I'm not going to sit here and spend half an hour or more making a commission out of it. No, it's not today.
What was the biggest commission? What was the biggest commission you've done? Like as far as somebody asking you or paying you to do? Not money wise, but I'm saying like what was the biggest project? Like was an entire family? Was it like a action shot of like superheroes fighting? Or?
I did a few years ago. I was commissioned for a Christmas present.
You were commissioned? Did they wrap you up? Like a little
no,
bit?
not me.
Oh.
I did a drawing of the Thundercats. It was like
nice.
And it was I drew it standard comic page size, scanned the inks, digitally colored it, and blew it up to 24 by 36 full poster size. Sent them the original art page and the finished poster. It looked really cool. Lion-O up front with the sword, Mum-Ra in the background, and that was fun.
Was Snarf in the picture?
Snarf was in the picture.
Ugh. Okay.
How do you hate Snarf? It's
Snarf?
A show about cats that live in a bigger cat that drive cats. And you're like,
with the
cat. Little cat.
Snarf was just so annoying. He's like the Jar Jar Binks of Thundercats.
You're like the Jar Jar Binks of my life.
I think that was a compliment. Thank you, Dave.
What?
Wizard. Corry.
So, were they happy with it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have pictures of it?
The guy in Virginia. I can, on my DeviantArt, I'll pull it up today and show you at some point. Yeah, it's pretty cool from what I remember. I'll probably look at it now.
How long ago was it?
It's probably been 3 or 4 years
okay.
ago. I was in school at the time, so yeah, time's slipping away.
Now, how did they contact you? Did they find you?
Somebody in Virginia, a friend of a friend that knew me, and they're a big Thundercats fan, and hey, do this as a surprise Christmas present. Sure.
So that was the biggest thing you've ever done.
As far as like commission, I think, yeah.
Now, when you're at the school, do you guys have like final exams or like something you have to do that's like huge? You know, like what is it? How do they? It
was 2 semesters of school and like 2 classes a day, Monday through Friday, so 10 classes, and each class, you know, you have a homework assignment, so you're constantly working. You're doing in-class work, and you have essentially 10 homework assignments constantly going on. And what you're working towards at the end of a semester is that final project and like putting together a final portfolio for review.
Okay.
So you're working towards making those pieces as good as you can to put into your portfolio at the end of the semester or the end of the year for portfolio reviews to, you know, for DC, Marvel, Archie, any other independent companies that come to the school, or if you make any field trips. So that's really what it's focused towards. You do get graded A to, I guess, F. I don't know. I never got the F.
Well, that's a good thing.
I was a stickler. Got my work done like as good as I could, as soon as I could. I guess that's what I was older, too. I came to the school when I was 28, 29.
Yeah, a lot of the kids were out of high school.
Yeah.
Right? So you seem like an older guy.
So work ethic was a little bit different. I was a little more focused. And
plus, you were a correctional officer.
Yeah.
You were kicking butt all day.
Yeah, I had that background of no nonsense, like mud, blood, sweat, and beer.
Maybe you should become a correctional officer, and maybe you'll come back like more disciplined. Well, maybe we'll just put you in prison for like 8 years, and then you'll come back better.
You'll plant something on me. I don't know. If I got to hang out with Nick Justus, I feel like we'd have like a fun sitcom kind of relationship. Like, hey Dave, how's it going? Do I have a story for you?
How often were the Kuberts there?
They are there constantly. Joe was.
Yeah, I know he was, yeah.
Every day, his main studio, I think, was there in the school in the office area. To the best of my knowledge, they still have it set up after he passed away.
I'm sure they do.
They left it the way it was. All of his books, his drafting and art tables, and all of his materials, I think, pristine, just sitting there. They might let someone in to dust occasionally.
Yeah, but
and Adam and Andy probably teach a couple days each throughout the week, but they're in and out of the school constantly. They each have their own studio rooms there as well, like huge rooms. I won't go into detail, but probably as large, or if not twice as large, as the store.
I'm sure.
And it's a surreal experience going in with those guys and sitting down and having them critique your work and just going over stuff, and they'll show you what they're working on, and it's stacks of original pages they've done, and it's something I'll never forget, and I wish I could go back and do over again. Like, give me 3 more years.
Could you go back if you wanted to? Like, to take more courses? Or no?
Like your master's?
You'd just do it all over again, I guess, the same thing. I don't know what the point would be.
How expensive is the school?
Tuition goes up every year. At the time, I wanted to say it was like $15,000 a year when I started.
But then you have to also buy all your supplies and stuff, too?
Yeah, okay. A lot of that is supplied through the art store at the school, because they have their own art store, and they order supplies and everything, so you still pay for it, but it's not, you don't have to go out of your way to you don't have to go into the city to get everything. You do everything from life drawing classes, drawing nude models, male, female, to traditional painting and oils, a lot of digital work, hand lettering, learning how to hand letter comics. And then later on you get into the digital aspect, because everything is colored digitally or lettered that way now too. So you start out traditional and work up to the modern. So you get a wide, get a broad-based education.
Nice.
And like I said, if I could go back and do it all over again, I guess I guess I could teach there one day, maybe. That would be a
because you know what, you went later on. You didn't go first high school, so you didn't seem like you weren't goofing off like your college years. So you probably wouldn't change much as far as how you approached it. You know, or like, oh, I wish I didn't. I probably partied too much. I should have done this. You know what I mean? You seemed like you were, you know.
I still partied a little bit. That was funny. You're 30 years old. You're partying with these 18, 20-year-old guys and trying to, you know, blend in. But, yeah, I'd do it all over again if I could. It was 3 years of magic. Boot camp. You're constantly doing what you want to do. It was pretty rigorous, but looking back on it, brings a tear to my eye. I might cry.
We're here for you. Yeah, we're here. Justus.
So, okay, guys, thank you for being with us today. I had a good time, you know, BSing with my boys here. Nick is actually in the store a lot. He lives locally. He's one of our reservists, so he's not just here on special events. You will see him around. And you're actually doing a signing sketch thing at Dewey's.
Right.
Where even though they are somewhat of our competition, we're very friendly with them.
Love Dewey's.
They're awesome. Dave, I know you.
Kept me up and running on comics.
Yeah, because when you were in college.
In college. That was my boys.
Where is he? What town is he in? Morristown?
He's Madison.
Madison, which is right by Morristown, right?
Yep.
Okay. Friendly guy. We've been friends with them forever. They're just super nice people. Go there, you know, have fun.
Very community-driven shop. They're just excited. Same thing. They're excited to be in the area with the kids and people that are into it. So.
Yeah. And what day is that?
Nick Justus.
That's Saturday the 3rd.
Of October.
October.
Okay.
So next Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
The recording of this will be a week from today. Doing the same thing there that I did here last week. Just signing copies of the book and doing little sketches. And at the time when I went to school, my second and third year, I lived in that area in Florham Park, Madison. Okay. And that was the first comic shop in Jersey that I typically went to and had my pull list there and everything. So
we've been
over time. I became a Zapp guy, but I still
of course
know those guys and stuff. So
it's all one big family. I mean, and like I said, they're not down the street, so they're not really in competition with us. But at the same time, they've been around longer than us, and we have nothing but respect for them. So I support them. So definitely, if you can, check out Nick Justus signing Mantasy at Dewey's.
Thank you.
That's it. I hope you enjoyed your time here.
It's been a blast.
I know it's a little early.
It's fine.
And I know you had to sit across and look directly at Dave. It's not really pleasant. Especially that face you're making now, whatever that is. Nothing? You got nothing on that?
It's disdain.
Disdain.
That's what I'm going for. That's the emoji.
We'll see you at Batman Day. We'll see you at Comic-Con. We'll see our sale in November, which is always the weekend before Thanksgiving.
See you at Thanksgiving and for my family.
And as soon as we can, we're going to show off our Terry Dodson Dark Knight 3 cover. As soon as we get the...
Can we unveil it? Like a big curtain?
As soon as I get it. I don't know what they're doing. They've been very... They've been only releasing a couple at a time, so.
Well, I know we're gonna get it, but I mean, like, can we like print it out and then just like pull a big
I wish we could, but I think they're gonna show it online before we get it. Because that's what they've been doing.
Get a computer and film us pulling a sheet off of a computer.
But you get a knock on your door for some Warner Brothers Men in Black or something like that.
Excuse me.
Oh man, if Will Smith came, I'd be pumped.
So, again, it's Corey, Dave, special guest Nick Justus, Zapp Comics. You can find us on iTunes. We're powered by Audio Boom, of course. And we will see you guys soon.
Ooh-ah. That should be your catchphrase. It's like Nick Justus. Ooh-ah.